ladies and gentlemen, welcome back if you got a snack or you got something to drink. And I'd like to introduce you to Brandt Krueger. Brandt is a technical producer and consultant. And as far as I know, he's teaching the whole world about the important things of technology in events, which is not just connecting switches and wires, but there's other things there that are important. And I know Brandt is a real master in defining what's important there. Brandt, I call you an event technology guru. Does that make you uncomfortable?
It does. I'm not a fan. Not a fan of being like guru or ninja or anything like those kinds of words. I'm just a guy.
You're just a guy. Okay. But are you open for questions? So if our audience wants to put some questions to you,
100%. I am far more in favor of a pure Q&A type session versus me blathering on for 15 minutes and slides and all those kinds of stuff. But if we need to, I have slides, so I can make slides go, but don't make me. So
any
please,
questions,
yes, bring your questions to the table.
Brandt, yeah, put them in the chat and we'll put them to Brandt. Brandt, this program part is called How Improving Home Studios Can Improve Our Events. Well, shoot away.
Well, thanks. It's, if I could, I'd like to start with just a little bit of a story. I mean, so where this really rang clear for me is obviously over the course of the last 18 months, especially right after things went into lockdown and we all took our events online. As I was working with my clients, I would ostensibly be brought on to help out with the technology and the switching and the playing back and all those kinds of things. But I wound up spending a lot of time helping presenters with their setups. And, can you just hop on a call with Bob and help him because he looks terrible and, all of those kinds of things. And it blew my mind that actually, still now 18 months into this thing, we get these up the nose camera shots of, and then the people are talking and it's like this. Well, thanks everybody for coming to our show. It's really great. So I was spending a lot of time on these calls and it wasn't getting any better. And as we went, and I was doing those calls, not here in my little studio area where I've got the good lighting and the good microphone. I was doing them over at my desk, like most of us are, with my headset and, and a little Logitech camera. And one day technology wasn't cooperating and I did a day's worth of calls from here. And what I realized was people started listening better and taking my advice more. And instead of just saying, I do this all the time, why am I doing this? They started going, oh, wow, you look really good. You sound really good. How are you doing that? And then much less if I start doing things like switching, my camera without actually having to, share my screen or be able to, draw, on my screen and things like that. Being able to do those kinds of things really blow people's minds. And it's because I've been slowly putting together this studio. It's been over time. And so it clicked at that moment that the more that we as event professionals present ourselves professionally, the more that our stakeholders are going to listen to us and take us seriously as the experts in the room when it comes to online events.
But isn't there a gap, Brandt, if I can interrupt you? Isn't there a gap? Because as event professionals, we aim for high quality, we aim for the best, we aim for professionalism, and our home studios are a bit clunky. So that's by definition amateurism.
The beautiful thing is, though, you don't have to start here, right? You don't have to start with a relatively expensive camera and lens and things like that. I've built this studio one piece at a time as I've been able to, as I've had the money available, these kinds of things. I've been doing podcasting for 12 years at this point. So I had, I started here. I had good audio, and there is kind of an order to this thing, and you can work your way around doing the free stuff first. And, people way smarter than me have kind of come up with this order, and I 100% agree with it. And that is basically make sure I get it right now. So IALCB, and that stands for Internet, Audio, Lighting, Camera, Background. And if you kind of go through that order, like what can I do first to improve my internet, so that I'm not going to get those dropouts and things like that. What can I do to improve my audio and get rid of those freezes and make my picture look better? Because Zoom and a lot of these other platforms are throttling based on your internet speed. Then you move to what can I do to improve my audio? Because if you can't hear me clearly, it's been shown in studies that like if you can't hear a conversation clearly, it's the same type of physical response as stress, that you're struggling to hear the conversation. And if you just think about like if you're in a movie or something like that where you can't quite hear the dialogue, and as I'm getting older, that's happening more and more often, it is kind of stressful. It's kind of like, what did he say? What? What? That kind of thing. And for the most part, we're still communicating verbally with these things and talking to our slides as opposed to just showing a bunch of slides and saying, here you go. So audio is going to be next. What can we do to improve your audio? Be in a smaller space. And we can go into detail on all these things. I'll do the summary here first. And then the lighting. How can we look better? Or sorry, then the camera, then the lighting. I'm getting it. Forget. Okay. Lighting, then camera. Yeah. There we go. I should have left it up, but I cleared it out on my telestrator. And then work your way into the camera and the background. And do all the free things that you can do first to that. So like I said, let's not do the up the nose shot. Let's not do that. Get your camera up and so that you can see right into your camera. Let's not do, I just received a 27-minute video from a CEO that basically looks like this. Today, 18 months into this thing, we're still getting this thing. This is the same shot turned 180 degrees. All I did was put the window in front of me instead of behind me, and it looks a million times better. That's free. That doesn't cost anything to do that. So work your way through. What can I do to improve my audio space? What can I do to improve my lighting? What can I do to improve my camera? Bring it up, get it nice and level, all those kinds of things. And then let's worry about the tchotchkes and the background and all that kind of stuff that you have to worry about there. And then once you do that cycle, let's set aside some money for the next thing on the list. Can I improve my internet anymore? Can I improve my camera a little bit more? Can I improve my microphone a little bit more? There's lots of steps between $0 and $5,000, $10,000.
It's cyclic, Brandt.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I put it in the chat, by the way, but I put it in the wrong order. I see now. So it's internet, audio, lighting, camera, and background.
There we go. That's the one. Yep.
IALCB.
Correct. And so as folks are asking, if folks have specific questions about technology or microphones or lighting or any of that kind of stuff, let me know. Otherwise, like I say, I'm happy to keep going on. So I can talk a little bit about the things that I've done to improve, the things that I help my clients improve. If we start with audio, if we're going down our list, obviously internet, just pay for higher bandwidth as best as you can. That's kind of one that you can just come back to whenever you're available. But when it comes to audio, you don't have to jump right up to this one. And even this is not terribly expensive. It's a couple $100, not super expensive, but you can actually start with, grab it here.
Wondering what would you?
That's thrilling television right there, where you have that pause. This is actually a $20 headset, so about $17. I'm not sure what the euro conversion rate is these days, but it's not that bad. And I actually took a marker and just ran a little dark there so that it would kind of blend into my beard a little bit more. And this sounds better than any open mic you're going to have on a laptop. And it's $20, and you just pop it into a little USB sound card like that, like that. And that's about $7. So for under $30, this sounds amazingly good. It's not as good as the, $200 Countryman, Diva headset that you can buy. But compared to nothing, that's really good. And that's $30. And I know people that are professional presenters that are using that very setup.
And if you keep in mind that it appeals to the same a part of your brain that is connected with stress, this audio, so that's a $28 way of getting rid of your stress.
Yep. And when we talk about things like Zoom fatigue,
Hmm.
um, I really do feel that a lot of it is this stress, right? So it's bad audio, it's bad video. They pop on the background, and you get the little jaggies around the head where it's all fuzzy and vibrating. And as they move in and out, it they fall into the background and then they reappear. Your brain has to block all of that out just to hear what you're going to say. So if your brain already is trying to ignore the bad audio, listen really hard to hear what you're saying, ignore the little fuzzies that are going around your head, ignore the up the nose bad light, bad lighting and all that kind of stuff. You have to get through all of that just to get to the presentation. Of course, you're going to be exhausted after 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Whereas if you have someone who's got good audio, good video, isn't relying heavily on slides, because that's the other thing, as soon as you go to a static slide, you've got maybe 10 seconds before people start to zone out, especially if it's bullet points. You might even have
Yeah,
less than that.
and more than
So
7 bullet points.
yes, exactly. And so all of the things that we've been talking about for our in-person events for the last 5 years that are boring and we need to get away from talking heads and slides, it's even worse here in the online universe. And it's even more important that we have good audio and good video. And when we talk about even hybrid experiences, so if we have a remote presenter beaming in to an in-person audience, it's even more important to have good audio, good video, because if you have that bad echoey audio of a person in a cavernous room in their kitchen or something like that, and then you pipe that into a cavernous ballroom, it's going to be completely unintelligible because you're starting with bad audio and then you're putting it out into a big echoey room. So all of these things come together as part of the user experience. And it does continue to boggle my mind that 18 months in, we're still seeing this stuff.
Okay. So Brandt, all these tips and this very useful internet audio lighting camera background order helps us to get better meetings, to get better interviews. But how do we make the step to better events?
Well, all of this is part of the polish, right, on our events. That it's, if you're doing all of these things and you're paying attention to all of these things in our online events, it's already going to be easier for our attendees. There's not that stress levels, so that's going to make your event better. It's going to make your presenters more authoritative looking, right? So here's another example that I've got. That early on, I saw this on a major news network of this guy here. And this guy could be the world's foremost expert on curing cancer or, war between two zones or anything like that. But you've got the sunlight coming in over his head.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the headphone cable coming out of his shirt. You've got the microphone about 15 inches away from his face, so it's going to sound like this no matter what he's doing. And then the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, is the laundry hamper in the background of dirty laundry. So, you can't take this guy seriously. And so when we're in a position where, especially if we're dealing with government officials or company executives or association executives, we want people to take them seriously. And so there you go. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Is that your real kitchen?
No, it's not. It's just the background.
So we have to, this is all part of the fit and finish and the polish of our event. Sure, you can do an event without doing any of this. We've been doing it for 18 months, but what have people been saying during that time? I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of it. I'm exhausted by all of this. And so the more we can be engaging, the more we can have a little fun, the more we can draw on ourselves and not lean so heavily on slides, the better. The worst, I think I teased this in the description. Do you know what the 6 most dangerous words in event production are?
I was wondering.
Yes. So the 6 most dangerous words in event production now are, oh, sorry, I should have let people guess.
Okay.
I do this all the time. And that's really what a lot of what I was struggling with executives and things like that is because they've been on Zoom calls for all of this time, they think they're experts at doing, online presentations and things like that. And even I can't emphasize this enough, that it just continues to blow my mind that this deep into I just had a sales presentation of a major project, and it was the up the nose shot in the echoey room. And it's like, you're a salesperson. You're trying to sell me on your product. And a lot of times in events, that's kind of what we're doing. We're selling a product. We're selling an experience. And the more that we ignore all of these little things, the worse that experience is going to be. And that it kind of feels like you don't care about our experience as
Is it also about respect to your conversation partner?
I believe it is. It is. This, with the cameras and the lighting and things like that, is the three-piece suit of online events. And if you show up to the meeting in a cutoff T-shirt and flip-flop sandals, that's a sign of disrespect in a lot of cultures and a lot of companies and organizations. And it's the same kind of thing here.
You also have to work harder if you show up in clothes like that.
Yeah, and people spend $5,000 on a good suit. If that's your world and that's the world that you live in, it's a drop in the bucket, and people will go like that and spend $5,000 on a fine Italian suit. But then they don't spend $5,000 to do this. My entire setup here, not counting the computers and things, is less than $5,000. And again, I didn't build it all at once. I did it a little bit at a time. What can I improve? How can I get my lights a little better? How can I get my camera a little better? How can I add telestrating and things like that? And so I follow a lot of smart people online, and I try really hard to learn from them and pick up what I can as we go.
What I saw in the past few days also, Brandt, is that we were watching the live presentations of all the projects here at the BEA World competition. There was videos, wonderfully made often. And then there was the presentation that followed the video. And there was a big difference in quality between several live presentations. Some were indeed up the nose or on the phone in the public transport, and others were just wonderfully designed and executed. Do you think they would have a bigger chance of winning the award?
I think so. Right? It's fit and finish. It's polish. And you made a really great point that if you do show up in the flip-flops and the cutoff T-shirt, you have to work so much harder. And so even if you have a better product than everyone else and you show up looking like a schlub, that's going to mean you have to work even harder to show off that your product is better than someone else's. And that product is generic. Obviously, I'm not talking about physical products, but experiences as well.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate here. We are in a Zoom session. We're in a platform in a Zoom session, but in fact, we are in a Zoom session. So is this enough to build events upon?
Absolutely. I think part of this myth of Zoom fatigue is dealing with exactly what we've been talking about. That it's more about the cameras and those kinds of things, the cameras and lighting, than the platform itself. It's kind of like the people that say, all right, we're banning PowerPoint because PowerPoint is terrible. PowerPoint's just a tool. It's just a tool, and people have been using it badly. So Zoom is just a tool, and people have been using it badly. There's plenty of other, Teams and the other ones as well that can be used just as badly. I fully maintain you can put together a fantastic event right here on Zoom. It's not about the platform. It's not about the venue. It's about what you do with it. And just like we can put on a fantastic event in the ballroom of a Ritz-Carlton, we can also put on a fantastic event in a cornfield somewhere in Iowa, or a wheat field. And I've seen it. And we've been to these types of events where you go out someplace beautiful and it's very rustic and amazing. But those are very different types of events. So it's not about the platform. It's about finding the right venue, the right platform for your events, the right place for your event to be held. Maybe there are features and functionality of this platform versus that platform, just like there are features of being in a ballroom compared to a cornfield, like having a kitchen nearby and stuff like that.
So we're here at the same point as we were in our last conversation with Juraho Loop. It's not about the tool that you're using, but it's about the result that you need. It's about the goal of your meeting. And I think it's an old pitfall to start with the location or start with the venue and then build the content upon it. So we should start with the content and then find the right platform. If we talk in the digital world, find the right platform for it, or the right
It is
setup
an old
in a
pitfall.
home studio.
Yeah, it's a very old pitfall, and it's one that I've been fighting on the technology side for a long time. I always say I would rather see old technology used well than new technology used just for the sake of it being new. That, it's not about the app or the PowerPoint or the engagement tool or any of that kind of stuff. It's about using what you have to the best of your ability. I was working with some government folks who were bemoaning the fact that they could only use Teams or WebEx. And I said, whoa, 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 whoa. Do you know how many planners that I know that would love to only have two choices? Because they're overwhelmed by the 200, 300 different event platforms that are out there. Take the fact that you only have two choices, figure out which one of those two is going to be the best for your event, and then pour all of your effort into making the absolute best that you can out of that platform. And that's going to be way better than if you were given the option of 300, you kind of chose one because it looked good and checked off the boxes and then went from there.
So make your choice and make it work.
Yeah, okay. To a certain extent.
So last few minutes of our interview, Brandt. What can we learn from the gaming industry or the vloggers, or what can we pick up there as event professionals?
I highly encourage event folks to if you haven't taken a look at some of the gaming streams that are out there, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch or something along those lines, check it out. Not because I think you're going to get necessarily ideas for your event or this is the way that it should be done. But if anything, it's going to show you that it's possible to hold an audience's attention for hours. There's this myth, especially with our online events, that we have to keep it 10 minutes only or 5 minutes only, or it's got to be like a TED Talk where we talk for 15 minutes and then we move to the next person, then we talk to 15 minutes and we move to the next person. You can hold people's attention for hours if it's content that they're interested in, and that if the people that are presenting that content are interesting and engaging. And when you watch those live streams, they're keeping an eye on the chat. They're talking back and forth like, yeah, that's the way I'm going to do it. Or no, I never thought of that before. As they're playing, while they're doing, they are multitasking on a level that blows my mind. They're changing camera angles while they're playing a game, while they're talking to people on the chat, while they're on a headset, narrating everything that they're doing. So at the very least, I would encourage people to take a look at these things. Take a look at e-gaming events that were just starting to really build in popularity right before we had to go into lockdowns. Go back and see what they were doing with mixed reality. Even before 2020, before lockdowns, these e-gaming events were messing around with, what do we have a virtual host in a virtual studio space, and then we're flipping back and forth between them and the players of the game and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot that we can learn from that side of the world for sure.
Okay, so look around. So ladies and gentlemen, if a brand inspired you to make some improvements to your home studio, please let me know in the chat what would be the first step that you would take. Would it be the I from internet, or the A of audio, the L of lighting, the C of camera, or the B of background? And maybe you can specifically mention what you're going to try out. Brandt, if we would make a next step, what would be your next step? You've got this studio here. Of course, you have a lovely room there, so you don't need a backdrop. But what kind of improvement would you make?
I'm thinking about ways that I can. So this is being done with a green screen. It's pretty good. Like it actually works really well. Like you can kind of see the whiskers and all that kind. You can, when I turn my head, you can see through the glasses. But so it's not immediately obvious that it's a green screen compared to like what's built in Zoom. Yeah, you can kind of see the fuzzies on
I'm trying my own glasses as well now.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. But nonetheless, it's not perfect. And so I'm kind of thinking about maybe putting a TV screen back here so I can still change the image and things like that in order to do it. so that's one thing that I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking about adding some more lighting. The lighting that I have, I'll be honest with you, is only about $100. It's not, cinema quality lighting, but it works really well. And there's always something. There's always, you just kind of keep going back through that list of like, keeping an eye out for what's on sale, what equipment, being able to do things like picture in picture. So I could upgrade my switching system. I can do that a little bit right now, but not as much as I would like. And always trying new things. I keep trying new headphones, new headsets. I just switched over to this wireless audio. Are we getting anybody? Is anybody responding in the chat? You guys are so quiet.
Not yet.
So quiet.
So
I thought it was afternoon over there. It's morning for me, and I've had lots of coffee, which is why I'm so energetic. But did everybody take a little nap?
What's the time in your place, Brandt? Where are you calling from?
9:43 in the morning, so it's not too early.
Okay, here it's 4:45 in the afternoon. So maybe it's the afternoon dip that we have here.
Yeah,
so if you want to put in the chat what your next step in improving your home studio is, just write an I or an A or an L or a C or a B. That will help. Brandt, you like trying out things, and you like things with switches and wires and things like that, because that's also your work and your hobby. But if I am an absolute nitwit on that in that area, and I don't even know if I'm connected to the Wi-Fi or to cabled internet, where should I start?
It's all those slow steps into improving the overall look and feel, the overall experience, the overall professionalism that you're coming across to your potential clients, to your internal stakeholders. Again, that level of, if I'm on a call with an executive and I, calling in from my bedroom and all that kind of stuff, they're not going to take me as seriously as if I come in like this. So which everyone wants to be taken seriously in their job and in their profession and in their own company and with their clients and with their vendors. So it's all these little steps that we can do. Find a way to get that hardline internet cable connected. Go look at the back of your Wi-Fi box and try and find the little cable and say, is there any way I can run a cable? Or on show day, on presentation day, can I run a temporary cable to that box? Even if it's just sits in a box most of the week, but just on show day, you run 100-foot. You can get a 100-foot LAN cable off of Amazon for very inexpensive. It's not, it's nothing at all. So just that's the biggest thing, is just these incremental steps. So even a complete noob who knows nothing about technology, you know more than you think you do, and you can start to take these slow steps. And if anybody has any questions on this and wants recommendations for specific equipment or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me afterwards, and I'm happy to do that.
Okay, thank you very much. And you can write to the organization of BEA World to get your contact data with the question. Thank you very much, Brandt, for all this advice and all these tips, and for making it sound so accessible. It's easy, right?
It is. It really doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't have to be all at once. Just take these incremental steps, keep going through the cycle, and you'll be fine.
Okay, thank you very much, Brandt. It was very inspiring. I hope you'll be there tomorrow at the awards show as well. Just as a spectator, make sure that you will dress up very extravagantly, because that's the dress code for tomorrow. It will be 5 o'clock in this afternoon, or in this time zone. So in your time zone, it will be in 15 minutes from now in your day. Tomorrow, Friday. Okay, thank you very much, Brandt. See you again next time. And thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Any questions you want to put to Brandt, just let us know. We'll put the question through to Brandt. And I think in about 4 minutes, we'll have our next interview. That will be with Sietse Bakker. And Sietse is the executive producer, not only of the previous Eurovision Song Contest, but also of the one before that. So he's been executive producer for 2 Eurovision Song Contests in a row. Think of some good questions, put them in the chat, and we'll ask them to Sietse. And I'll see you back in about 3 to 4 minutes now. See you later. Get a snack, get some water.